Our mind is a strange thing. It can lift us to greatness or pull us into chaos. One moment, it's calm, peaceful, like a lake reflecting the morning sky. The next, it's a storm, wild and restless, dragging us into waves of doubt and fear. Every one of us has felt it, those moments when our own thoughts become our biggest enemy, when fear whispers, "You can't," when doubt says, "You'll fail," and when overthinking kills our courage before we even take the first step. But what if I told you, the greatest battle you'll ever fight won't be with the world, it'll be with your own mind? This is the story of a young mountaineer named Luca, a man who wanted to conquer the tallest peak in his country. But before he could control the mountain, he had to learn to control his mind. As a child, Luca would watch the snow-covered peaks from his tiny mountain village. He'd point and whisper, "One day, I'll stand up there." The villagers smiled. They'd heard that dream 100 times before. But Luca's eyes burned with something different, a quiet fire, a belief that no storm could extinguish. Years later, his chance finally came. A national expedition was opening for young climbers, and Luca's name was on the list. The night before training began, he couldn't sleep. He packed and unpacked his bag 3 times. His heart raced with pride. "This is it," he whispered, "my moment." But reality hit harder than any wind on the mountain. The altitude burned his lungs. The air felt thinner than hope. Each time he slipped, panic rose inside him like an avalanche. He started to believe. Maybe he wasn't made for this. His hands shook, his breath faltered. He sat on a rock, eyes lowered, whispering to himself, "Maybe the mountain's not my destiny after all." That evening, as the fog wrapped around the training cabin, Luca sat alone, lost in thought. Then from the shadows came a soft voice, "Rough day." He looked up. A tall man with silver hair stood there, calm as the mountain itself. It was John, a retired mountaineer, known not for fame, but for his stillness in chaos. Luca sighed. "I train every day, but when things get hard, my mind just panics. I lose control." John smiled faintly. "Then it's not your body you must train," he said. "It's your mind." He turned toward the trail. "Meet me here tomorrow, at sunrise." The next morning, the sun painted the cliffs in shades of fire. John handed Luca a small pack. "Today," he said, "we climb only halfway." Luca frowned. "Halfway? Why not the top?" John looked up at the endless ridge. "Because right now you're thinking of the summit before you've taken your first step." That's how the mind traps you. They began their climb. The path was steep, cruel, and covered in loose stones. The wind whispered doubts into Luca's ears. After an hour, his legs trembled, his lungs screamed. He looked up, the peak still far away, and frustration took over. John stopped and said, "When your mind races too far ahead, your body forgets where it stands. Forget the summit, Luca. Look at your next step, just one. Then breathe, then step again." Luca tried it. Step, breathe, step, breathe. Slowly, the noise in his head began to fade. The mountain didn't change, but his focus did. When he finally looked up, he gasped. They'd already reached halfway. The cabin below looked small, and the valley silent. John smiled gently. "See? You didn't control the mountain, you controlled your mind. That's your first victory." That night, the wind howled outside the cabin. The fire flickered, shadows dancing on the walls. John stared into the flames and said, "Let me tell you a story." There was once a young climber who tied a rope around his waist. When a fierce gust of wind hit, he panicked and pulled harder, but the more he pulled, the tighter the rope dug into his skin. John paused. The crackle of the fire filled the silence. Finally, the climber stopped fighting. He took a breath, relaxed his grip, and gently loosened the knot. That's when he realized it wasn't the rope that trapped him. It was his fear. "The mind," John said softly, "is like that rope. The harder you fight your thoughts, the tighter they grip you. But when you breathe, pause, and stop resisting, you find freedom." Luca whispered, "So, I shouldn't fight my thoughts. I should understand them." John smiled. "Exactly. The goal isn't to silence your mind, it's to guide it." The days that followed were different. Every morning before training, Luca stood still. He took 3 deep breaths and let the mountain come to him, instead of rushing to conquer it. When fear whispered, "You'll fall," he answered softly, "Not today." When his body ached, he smiled, feeling the ground steady beneath his feet. Each day, his steps grew stronger, not because the mountain became easier, but because his mind became quieter. Finally, one dawn, John said, "It's time, Luca. Today, you climbed to the top. The air was cold, the summit sharp and cruel, but Luca's eyes were calm. Step, breathe. Step, breathe." Halfway up, the wind roared like a beast. Snow blinded him. His heart pounded. The voice of panic returned, loud, familiar. Then, through the storm, John's words echoed in his mind. "Control your breath, not the storm." He closed his eyes, breathed once, twice, and with quiet strength took his final step. When he opened his eyes, the world stretched endlessly below. The sky burned gold, the wind carried silence. He didn't cheer, he didn't shout, he simply smiled, because he finally understood. He had conquered, not the mountain, but his own mind. When Luca returned, John greeted him with a calm smile. "Well," he asked, "what did the mountain teach you?" Luca looked at the horizon and said, "That control isn't about power. It's about peace. And focus isn't about thinking less, it's about thinking right." He shared 2 lessons that would stay with him forever. First, control your breath, not the storm. Because when life feels overwhelming, your calm, not your strength, will keep you steady. Second, focus on the next step, not the mountain. Because true progress is built one quiet, steady moment at a time. John nodded. "Then you've truly learned to climb." So, my friend, when your thoughts race, when fear grips your heart, when the mountain of life feels too high, don't rush to fight it. Pause, breathe, focus on the next step. Because mastering your mind is the greatest climb of all, and once you learn to control it, no mountain in this world can ever stop you. Thank you for watching Wisdom Tales. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to enjoy more motivational tales that also help you learn English. Your support helps more stories reach those who need them. See you in the next story.